Danielle DeVita back with another video. I overheard someone say that marriage is overrated. A lot of women say, I like the strong silent type. Well, a lot of men like the feminine silent type. And for sure, it's going down. So a lot of times people are not getting the value. When to speak and when to be quiet is one of the most powerful. She's going to be aggressive thinking that. And as someone who's been married for 12 years, she's driven, not lazy. And this will make yourself and get on the right path. That understand that you might be doing a disservice to your daughter. If you don't help her understand vetting and proper decision making, now she's going to be a basket case later. If you don't help her understand emotional intelligence, she's going to hold on to a lot of emotional baggage. If you don't... Welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Mrs. Danielle DeVita. I am a relationship and femininity coach, and my goal is to help you find the person that's best for you. I am not a guru. I am not an expert because we all are learning through this journey. But I'm here to share things that I've learned prior to marriage and being married for almost 13 years. I'm just sharing those experiences, things I've learned along the way. So to learn more about my content or to book a session, you are able to go to mrsdanielledevita.com. So I have a lot of things on there that you'll be able to see, whether it's little blogs that I've done. I have a podcast that I do. And you can also just kind of get a little bit idea of my thoughts, right? So I also want to let you know I do have a book that's coming out. It's in publishing right now, and it is called Command Respect from the Woman You Want. And this is a book for men. It's a quick guide for men. I think that if you're a man or a teenager, a young boy, no matter what race, I think that you would love this book, especially if you are a man who wants to be and walk into his masculinity and want to get respect, right? But don't think that I forgot about you ladies, because I do have both women and teenagers. These are two separate books. One is called Girl, Go Get Your Husband, and this is for women. The other book is for teenagers, and it's called Boy Bye. So I do have books geared towards women. So I advocate for both men and women, right? To have healthy relationships. I don't advocate for foolishness and things like that, no matter what gender you are. So let's get to talking about today. I asked the question, is it men's fault? And we're going to get right into it because I have a video for you. And we're going to see what this lady has to say, and we're going to digest this information here. Just because I know a lot of people say, why do you seem to get on women a lot and you're just advocating for men? I advocate, again, like I said, for both men and women. But if you've heard people say, hey, can't should not be in your vocabulary, can't, the word can't, cannot be, or should not be in your vocabulary. Just like people say that, I think men and women who are foolish, right? Men and women who are trifling. They're not trying to be the best that they can be. They're just okay with being the worst. Why should those people be swarming around in your head, getting you all bent out of shape, right? These are the people you don't want. So why talk about them all the time? Why sit there and talk about all the things that they're doing wrong, all the red flags, when my goal is to help you by telling you all the things that you should look for in a man and a woman. If you're looking for that, then you're not swarming around all this negativity in your head that's going around on social media and in society. Most people will tell you, if you're in the dating scene, dating is brutal for most people. A lot of people are not liking dating because it's different than it used to be. It's harder to find quality people. So here's a woman that's going to say why she thinks that there's a lot of men who are not quality men and why relationships are not where they need to be because men are not doing their part. So let's hear what she has to say, and then we're going to get right into it. So let me go ahead and add this video here. We're going to see what she has to say.
In the Black community, a lot of...
Let me get her on the screen. All right, here we go.
In the Black community, a lot of these standards are considered high because the bar has been set so low. Statistically, a lot of Black men aren't going to college and graduating. This significantly reduces their ability to get legal employment that can increase their income. A lot of Black men.
All right, so I want to stop there because, of course, right now she's targeting a particular group. So she's not just saying men, she's saying Black men. Of course, she's Black, so she probably prefers Black men. The thing with this is, I'm hearing a lot of content where the men who do get an education, women are calling them educated lame, right? So the educated lame is supposed to be, based on what they're saying, supposed to be a guy who's educated, but he's not the guy that every woman wants. He's lame, right? And the reason why I'm targeting her in this video is because she also did another video about, well, the guys who are in college, they're frats, and you're likely to be by people who are in frats and this and that. So it's going to be something, right? So the guys who are educated, she's saying they're lame. The guys who are not educated, they're bums. So she had images of some, looks like guys who were what you would consider in society as a Pookie and Ray Ray, as a thug, as a guy who just on a street corner, right? And now she says, you can't get a better opportunity. Now, I will say, I think that society has fooled us in believing that the only way we can get a good job is if we spend so much money in school to get this said education. And as someone who went to school, I can tell you that I believe that outside of my professional, career, besides the law and doctors and people like that, you need to go to a professional program. And of course, you need to have an undergrad. But for a lot of people, for doing the things that they're doing, you don't necessarily have to go to school. You could have the experience, and society has told us you have to go to school, spend all this money, get a job so you can pay back these loans. So I kind of feel like that's where we go wrong. We think that that's the way to go. All right, so let's continue.
And can be entrepreneurs, but they don't have the role models close to them in order to teach them how to make money legally. But this ain't Black women's fault.
All right, now, this is not Black women's fault, but in the same breath, women, and I'm saying if it doesn't, if it doesn't apply to you, then disregard it. But women collectively are saying, men are leaving women to be single mothers. So if we're going to go with that narrative that men, or at least our men, are leaving women to be single mothers. So 70% of households are single-led, and they're usually mothers. So if that's the case, who is teaching the child? Whose fault is it really? If women, we're the main teachers. So even if you are in a 2-parent household, like with our children, yes, my husband is very present in our children's lives, but who's the one that's teaching them more often? Who is the one who is telling them the rules of society, the rules in the house, and all the things that they need to do to be great citizens and great children? They're going to get it from us, the mothers. So even with a 2-parent household, the mothers will be the first teacher. And then they're going to go to school where more women are most likely to are teaching our children, right? So if we're going to go with the narrative that most men are leaving our women to be single mothers, whose fault is it that children are growing up a certain way? Now, of course, we all play a role in it, right? Men and women play a role in that child growing up. But are we going to sit there and say it's not our fault if we're saying that we're the one raising the children? Is that what we're going to do? All right, so let's keep going.
And y'all gotta help each other out. When one of y'all make it, y'all gotta help each other, and y'all can't be unaliving the ones that do make it. That's why a lot of them don't come back into the community. They tired of y'all.
All right, so again, it's this narrative that it's all men's fault. It's their fault why men are growing up the way they are. it's their fault. Why? And you know what? I noticed is when she gave the example, it was a boy. So whose fault is it when girls grow up a certain way? What I've come to learn through both my observation and just in practice, when I was at the state attorney's office, I noticed that, you know, a lot of the children that was going through the juvenile detention center, going through the criminal justice system as, of course, defendants, the judge will ask, you know, where are your parents? Who's the person? Who's your caregiver? And the answer is usually, oh, it's my grandmother, or this person's watching me. And because my mom or my dad is in jail or out on the streets for whatever reason it is, or they're not around, right? So then the question is, if this is the reason why a lot of children are led astray because they don't have a stable environment, whether it's single, you know, the parent who is the custodial parent does not have the mindset or have their head on straight, or both parents, if they are in the home, are not contributing to a positive lifestyle for this child. Because someone could grow up in a household with both their parents, but if their parents are doing things by illicit means, not, you know, neglecting the child and doing these things, the child is going to grow up from what she sees on the street or what he sees from the street. They don't know because they're not being taught well. But if we're going to say that we are the custodial parents in children in our community, how can we just blame the men for this? How do we not have any fault? And so this is what I'm going to go into. We're going to talk about negligence, right? There's a rule of law in tort. And one of the areas in tort law is negligence. And negligence, so just to give you a rundown of negligence, this is usually when someone does something, but they didn't intend to do it. So you would say that they're negligent. And to prove negligence, you would prove that this person has a duty to you. And then they breached whatever this said duty is, causing you harm. Therefore, you should receive damages. And the damages is usually monetary, right? So in relationships, we do owe each other some level of duty, right? The people in a relationship together owe each other a duty to at least put their best foot forward, right? At least that, right? You can't promise that you're not going to hurt people's feelings. You're not going to, cause emotional distress. You can't do that because love is funny in that way, right? But you can say, well, we have a duty to each other to at least put our best foot forward, right? And yes, sometimes people breach that duty and then they cause you some type of emotional distress and harm. Right. And so where I'm getting at, so bear with me, what I'm getting at is in tort law, depending on the jurisdiction that you're in, there is a certain way in which you can collect these said damages. Again, when you hear the word damages, think of money. So you can get what they have comparative negligence. You can get money depending on the jurisdiction. So let's say the jurisdiction is a comparative negligence or a modified negligence. What that means is the area that you're in. So comparative negligence, if you are at least, if the other person who did you wrong is at least 1% at fault, you get money back. So if you were supposed to get, money back, $100,000 in whatever damages that you get, and for whatever you feel that someone's negligent, and the jury says, yeah, I'll give you $100,000. If they were just 1% wrong, they still owe you $1,000. One, because you contributed to that negligence, right? So you are partly at fault. So that's what that means. So comparative negligence means you were at fault, and all they need to do is the person needs to be 1% at fault. You could be 99% at fault, but if they're 1% at fault, you'll still get your money minus the 99%. So you'll get 1% of their fault. So if they were 40% at fault, you'll get 40% of what you would have normally got. So they reduce how much money you get based on how much you contributed to that negligence. So again, then in modified negligence, the rule is the person who did you wrong, who owed you a duty and breached that duty, has to be at least 51% at fault, right? So that means they'll give you 51%, right? Or whatever, 51 to 100, right? As long as they're 51% at fault. Now, bear with me here now. There's another type of jurisdiction that does contributory negligence. And this means if you are at fault in any way, you are barred from recovery, which means you get no money because you somehow contributed to it. So let me give you a quick example, and I'm going to let you go somewhere with this. So if I was driving down the street and I did not have my seatbelt on and someone ran a red light and hit me, and I am in a jurisdiction that applies contributory negligence, that means I get $0, because if I didn't have my seatbelt on and I'm claiming that because I went out of the window, I want medical money for medical damages because I didn't have my seatbelt on, I contributed to me going out of the window. Had I had my seatbelt on, I would have still been in the accident, but I wouldn't have gone out the window. So my medical bills would not have been what they were. So if I contributed in any way in this type of jurisdiction, I do not get anything. Why am I saying this? Because this is how we are in relationships. We say someone is negligent. Someone has done us wrong. They owed us a duty to put their best foot forward and they didn't. They somehow dropped the ball on being the parent they needed to be, the husband they needed to be, the boyfriend they needed to be, the girlfriend they needed to be, the wife they needed to be. They somehow dropped the ball and they have caused you some type of emotional distress. And because of that, you want some type of recovery from that. You want some money back from the pain that they have caused you. Well, in the real world, in regard to relationship, this is a contributory negligence jurisdiction. If you contributed in any way, you are barred from being in a healthy relationship until you recognize that you have contributed to it. And what I mean by that is, if I say, you know what, the last guy I was with, he caused me harm and I want to be compensated for it, but I'm going to go into my next relationship, that same hurt, that same lack of healing, that same anger, I'm going to be barred from a healthy relationship. I'm not going to get the healthy relationship that I need because I am not acknowledging my actions in my past relationships. I keep pointing the finger saying, well, they're at fault too. It doesn't matter. You contributed to it. And a lot of people say, well, how did I contribute to it? They cheated. How did I contribute to it? They did this. They did that. They did. Yes. What they did put the icing on the cake. But sometimes that maybe our action or our inaction can also cause this type of negligence. So what do you mean by that, Danielle? So me not properly communicating, me thinking that this person should read my mind, me ignoring the red flags, is all inaction. So I didn't do something relationship, but me not doing crossroads caused that, right? Actual actions, right? So my action is, okay, maybe they weren't worthy of my respect. So, but action was, I disrespected them. I didn't walk in my femininity, or I didn't walk in my masculinity. I did not, I did certain things to contribute to an unhealthy relationship. They were unhealthy. They cursed me out. They did this, they did that. But guess what? I did the same thing, and I'm wanting them to do something different. I contributed to this action by me also being that same person, right? And let me the number on here. I can see it because so y'all can call. I forgot to put that. Yes. So what we realize is we in some way to some of these relationships, not in all instances, but in many cases we contributed. And what I realized with a lot of women is what we've done is we want the healthy relationship, but we want to ignore the ability. We want to ignore some fault in some situation. We want to ignore the fact. We want to say having all of these babies and not taking care of them. But we felt that we had the power to close our legs. We had the power to control. We had the power to not choose that man, right? We had the power to not accept that marriage proposal. We talk about, you hear in that context, because I think that if you're in a relationship with someone, you both should see each other as a prize. You should both feel like you have a good thing. But I digress from that. But a lot of times we hear that men are the prize, but we fail to realize as women, if you're a woman who's listening, we have the power. We have the power to not accept the person's proposal. If a guy tries to talk to her, and have the power to close our legs, we have the power to not give our womb, to give our time, to give our respect to a man that we don't respect. We don't have to do that. You don't have to give your femininity to an deserving person. You just that person and move to the person who's deserving. You should respect this person, move on from there, right? We have the power to recognize red flags, but we ignore these things. I too have done that, right? Let's chat really. If you forgot anything I said, just remember, we have somehow, we may have contributed, right? And if we recognize that we have contributed to things in our relationship, then we realize we're barred from a healthy relationship till we acknowledge that we have played a part, acknowledge accountability and relationship, right? Ever believe, all right. Is it coming up? No, I think it's a delay. I'm gonna put your comment up so we can see it. All right. And if you ever, and before you ever think about getting into a relationship, please get your life together. First, put in the work, take time to build your income. You may get you together when, and then you also had on here to level up, right? Yes, that's what we want to do. We want ourselves to go into a relationship, not getting themselves together. Man, you probably do want to make sure you're financially getting yourself together, emotionally getting yourself together, because you want to make sure you're emotionally available, right? And women, a lot of times people, these are the reasons why relationships are failed, because we're not showing up in our femininity. We're not, and that doesn't mean you're weak, right? Because femininity, there's a lot of power in that. There's a lot of power in that. And the power of silence is something that's great, right? And then also making sure that not only that you're being in your feminine energy, but that you are making sure that you're properly vetting the person that you're the same way we vet, making sure there's we're getting the job that we do. The same thing with the people important in the job, right? Because in a lot of times in relationships, we are forming a bond. We are in a relationship where we're creating life, right? We're sharing our, our house with this person. Why not to properly vet both men and women? So you're looking and you're saying, I am constantly in bad relationships. Look to see what decision you're making. Decides not to use this person. You remember Ashanti did a song called Foolish. We often in society, if a person does something wrong, we say, this is a good person, but they made a poor decision, right? They made one mistake. They're a good person. Would you still say that person a good person if they continue to make the same mistake over and over? Yes, they stole at 18, right? But if they at 17 and a half, 18, 19, 20, and they just had a career of theft and robbery, would you still say they're a good person who made a mistake? Most likely you wouldn't. So then this is not to say that person, if you keep making the same mistakes in relationship, it means that you're just foolish because you're getting the knowledge, you know what's right, and you decide to change anything about it. Or you think that that person is to blame or its jurisdiction. If you have contributed in any way, you don't depart from a healthy relationship until you resolve what happened in this previous that's making your relationship fail. And then let's see what JB says. JB says, where there's femininity, there will be masculinity. I agree. Because, masculine men cannot resist, when they feminine woman, and vice versa. If you're a woman in the room and this man's come in and he's just like this powerful looking man, you're gonna be like, what? Who is that? Right? And we have to make sure we understand that. So if you're a woman and you're around men who you believe that are feminine men, and if you are a man and you believe every time I turn around, I'm around masculine women. So make sure, check the environment that you're into, the area that you're in, and then also make sure you up your masculinity or femininity, whichever one you're trying to get the desired opposite, right? You want to make sure you do that. It's easy with this society that we're in today to slip into, masculinity as a woman, because society is saying, get yours, right? Make the man money, but forget about being at home and taking care of family and children. That's what they say. And there's nothing wrong with getting yours, but society tells you to do that. And that's just in general. That's the whole feminist movement. This is not about race or anything like that. But society is saying, women, get yours. You don't have to be at home, because it's a slave to be at home. When I think it's a slap in the face, given that we've had slavery and so many people try to reduce it to something as the past, and it's irrelevant in today's society, but they don't mind using the word slave when it comes to feeding for your family, cooking for your family, cleaning for your family. I think both a homemaker and a woman who works can add value to a relationship if she has the right mindset. And I think that's what we're losing in today's society. So just as I said, if you don't want this, and why keep talking about them? Only talk about the person you want. So if you only want high valued men, talk only about high valued men, but you need to meet that qualification. If you only want women who are high valued and highly sought after, well, there's a difference between those two. But if you want a woman who's a high quality woman, then you want to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to get that type of woman as well. So the women who are upset with the passport bros, why? If you say you don't want them, why talk about them? And I don't mind guys deciding that they want to leave. Why? Because what's the point of arguing and saying you're not listening to them? What's the point of arguing about, what they're not getting from their women? Let them just go somewhere else and get it. There's nothing wrong with that. So again, the goal here is to not talk about people you don't want. Talk about people you do want, because then that will put you in the mind frame of meeting the qualifications. How many times do you talk about jobs you don't want? How many times do you say, oh my God, I do not want McDonald's. Oh my God, I do not want Burger King. Oh my God, I do not want this job. No, you talk about the job you want. And what you do is you go to school to get that job. You get the training to get that job. You get the certification to get that job. You do what you need to do, get the job you want. And that's how it should be in relationships. Stop talking about the trifling man, the trifling woman, the person without the mindset that you don't want. Talk about the person you do want and figure out what those qualifications are to get that person. Because truth be told, there are qualifications. People think that they should just show up and people accept you as you are. No, there's work that needs to be done. There's effort that needs to be applied, because that's how marriages work. You can't just show up every day, because after a while you get tired of seeing the same nasty attitude. But it's a breath of fresh, constantly evolving, loving, kind, generous. You want to see that person every day because they give you life. They add value to your life. There's no monotony in that relationship. In that relationship, you feel like there's spontaneity in that relationship. You feel like there's something new and exciting because they're evolving and growing and aspiring, and you want to be along for that ride. That's the true prize. Not just to have someone who's high earning, not just to sit there and twiddle on your fingers and say, oh, well, I got it now. No, we all should be continue to aspire for more and greater in life. So I'll leave you all with that. You guys can definitely put your comments in. I'll give you time to call in. There's a number on the phone, 81 or on the screen, 813-816-1813. Again, you can go to my website to learn more about my content, mrsdanielledevita.com. Again, 813-816-1813 if you want to call. If you don't want to call, that's okay. You can go ahead and place a comment if you want to join our conversation today. But if you decide you want to get on camera, you want your video, your face on camera live stream, you can do that by clicking that link. If you go to comment section, you'll be able to see that I placed the link there. Just make sure your camera ready. or you will not be on. All right. There's a, like I said, there's a link, a restream link that you can use, but I'll give you a few minutes to do that. If not, we'll end this live. But if you forget anything I've said, just remember, you can't say it's men's fault. You can't say it's just women's fault without taking accountability for your own actions, taking the time to realize where healing was needed on your part. That's how you can grow and have a healthy relationship, acknowledging the fact that you've done some wrong and how you can be better. I can say the same thing for me. You know, I would point the finger at my husband. And when I realized, you know what, why am I pointing the finger at him when I have my flaws too? So when I worked on myself, I've gotten better, doing things I need to do, not doing it so he can change, but doing it so the relationship can be better. He noticed that and he wanted to change. He was influenced by my willingness to change. So had I not done that, I wouldn't be here to tell you that today. I'm here to tell you because that's what I know. I know when you put the work in on yourself, your marriage gets better, right? Someone said they're calling. Okay. Hello, how are you doing? I do. Thank you for calling again, Michael. Michael used to be a continual caller. So how are you? What did you want to say today? Well, thank you for calling in and thank you for sharing your opinion about that. Yes, so I've spoken a few times about the Passport Bros. And if you haven't listened to that live stream, I did a live stream with Austin Holloman, who is one of the, I think he's a growing leader in talking about Passport Bros. So if you don't know what Passport Bros are, this is guys saying the Western world. So not just, certain races, but people in the Western world. That includes America, um, a lot of areas where you are in. Can you hear me? Okay. So a lot of these guys are saying that the women here are with this modern mindset, just Western in general. So they're moving over to traditionally led, like Africa, different areas of Latin America, where people believe in traditional views as far as relationships. I think that that's great because if you're not getting what you want here, go there. And I'm pretty sure women are saying the same thing. Oh, I want to go here and get this kind of guy. Well, then do that. So I actually applaud men who are, instead of sitting there arguing with women, they're taking the time to act on it. And these are usually men who have resources. They can get a passport, they can go somewhere else, they can live somewhere else. The cost of living is lower. The women are more feminine. The everything is more of a traditional setting. I don't have a problem with that. So yeah. Okay. No, no, I wouldn't say that. I think one, because I grew up in a traditional home, that's what I saw. But I will say, going to college for a lot of people does create this feminist mindset, especially for a lot of women when they start to, start to get degrees, when they start to get the money and things like that. But I think I was taught to be humble. I was taught not to see someone just at how much money they make. I think that changed. That changed my perspective on life. I don't think the feminist movement moved me in that direction, um, in a negative direction. But I will say that it has some effect on my life, just like where we think, because initially my goal was I want to do this and I want to do that in life. And at some point you think about your career, you think about what you want to do, and you lose sight of what's important. And family is important. Um, and I've come to realize that, you know, it's not just about what you have, but your energy is what's more important, especially if you want a relationship to work. It doesn't matter that you're making money and you're doing this and you're aspiring for greatness as a woman, which I think feminist movement tells us, where you're doing great. So you deserve this. That's the main word. You deserve, and you should manifest this and it will come to pass. When I think that it's taken us away from family, it's taken us on what's important. And I've had to learn that through my marriage. What's more important? Who's the person I'm with? And do I owe them that level of respect if I decided to be with them? So I think that mindset came from how I grew up. So I owe that to my family for that. So yeah. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate that. You take care now. Guys. So yes, you have any, if you guys want to, call in or make a comment, you can do so. If you didn't get a chance to do so, that's okay, because this live stream will still be up. You'll be able to catch it on the replay. You'll be able to put your comments in. Then you won't be able to call in or get on camera, because that's only during the live stream, but you can still place a comment. If you have thoughts about what we should talk about next, topics, things like that, go ahead and put those in the comments, or you can email me. If you go to mrsdanielledevita.com, there's an area for you to contact me, or you can email me at mrsdanielledevita@gmail.com. All right, or info@mrsdanielledevita.com. Either one of those. So again, if you forget the emails, just go to my website and you'll be able to get a way to contact me for topics. I do live streams every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please stay tuned for the book that I have coming out very soon, Command Respect from the Woman You Want, followed by the other books I have for women. It may take a little while for those to go out. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and end this live stream. I hope that you all had a great MLK Day, and I will see you next time. All right. Take care. We live in a world where femininity, marriages, family, and courting is no longer valued. We live in hookup culture, situationships, and struggle love. The number one reason women struggle in long-term relationships: number one, femininity, and number two, staying in a relationship or entertaining people longer than the woman should. My name is Danielle DeVita, and I'm a relationship and femininity coach. I've been married for 12 years, and I want to help you get on your feminine journey and vet for the right man today. For more of my content, you can visit mrsdanielledevita.com, or you can go to YouTube Instagram, or my Facebook page. Get on your feminine journey today.